Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Miraculous World Shanghai, The Legend of Ladydragon. I got that on the first try. That's great. This is part of the Miraculous World series. It's actually like a TV episode, but it runs like 56 minutes. It's actually a little less without the foreign credits at the end, but it's from 2021. So it's fairly recent. There's a series of these shows. They treat them as individual movies here on Disney Plus, but they're all based out of, I believe, a French studio. We've watched other ones. One that takes place in New York. I think there might be one that takes place in Tokyo. I don't know. It's Ladybug and her buddy Cat Noir. They get around. I think each of these animated films is meant to be sort of like a travel log, not just to have adventures in Paris, France, which is where the characters are based, and I think that's the original language in which these are presented. Even though they're very anime-like, they are very much. You got the character transformation spin around thing, like the Sailor Moonish kind of thing. Or it's not just Sailor Moon, but there's a lot. But this one, yeah, it makes use of that whole spin around transformation for the heroes and the villains. There's so many anime style line movements, everything else. It's got a very Japanese animation style to it, even though it's very French at the same time. And here they are in Shanghai, in China, basically taking all of that and just layering upon layering other things, layering cultures upon other cultures upon other cultures to create this cohesive superhero action film show story. So, yeah, we. So while you see what looks like a 3D animated uh, Japanese animation story, it has French origins and is set in China. This episode, anyway. So, if you don't know what this is all about, we got Ladybug here. And begins with an M. Dang it, my brain just farted. Marinette. There, thank you for having the text right there. Marinette, very French name. She is best friends with Adrian, I think. He's a very cute supermodel boy. She has a super big crush on him, and at the same time, they're both superheroes. And she's Ladybug, he's Cat Noir, and when they're superheroes, well, he's the one who has the crush on her. They don't know who each other is outside. They don't know their secret identities, which is just incredibly impossible. They both have the same exact hair. They both have the same exact body types. They have the same voices. How they do not know, well, that's part of the magic of superhero storytelling, I guess. That's why I think Marvel doesn't have any more secret identities anymore for any of their characters, for the most part. Well, Spider-Man got revealed, and you saw how that worked out. Anyway, so yeah, we got all this going on. Because they have to change locations to Shanghai, we get a story of another girl named Faye, who big backstory at the very beginning, and she was adopted by a man who ran a school about kung fu and taught her everything, and everything was taken away from her, and she's doing crimes, stealing things from people in order to make money and learn the secret behind her father's disappearance. There's a backstory of what we assume is the villain, but of course her name is in the title, The Legend of Ladydragon. I'm not spoiling too much on this. You kind of figure who she's going to be at some point in the story. When you have a title like that and you have a character like that, you know it's not going to be Ladybug. She already has a superhero identity. So anyway, everybody ends up in China for one reason or another. In fact, Marinette ends up there because under the guise of visiting her family back in China. For some reason, I didn't realize that she's part Chinese. I mean, I didn't realize her last name is Chen. I think it's Chen. So okay, she's Chinese. I didn't realize it. They don't, because of the whole big eye anime style. You assume that she's just European, and she's got blue eyes, I think. So I don't know. She's half Chinese, I guess. I don't know. It's very confusing, but either way, um, she decides to say that she needs to go to China to visit her family for her uncle's birthday. Sure, why not? And she's really there to stalk Adrian because he's a cutie patootie. So yeah, so she ends up, of course, there's a whole bunch of misunderstandings and conflicts, and she runs into Faye, and of course, there's all sorts of stories that overlap each other until, of course, the big battle reigns. And oh, by the way, Adrian, his dad, Adrian, the reason why Adrian's there, he's tagging along with his dad for some sort of business deal. But of course, Dad's never doing a business deal. He's actually the big bad in any story. He's this evil guy, and nobody realizes that he's the bad guy. He does his spin around transformation into Hawk Moth. Seriously? Hawk Moth? And he can project a hawk moth at somebody and then turn them into his superpowered slave, if they agree to the, you know, receiving the powers to get the thing, whatever he promises them. In this case, a store owner who is very greedy. He's Cashman or something. I don't know, but he turns him into a giant creature. And eventually, there's a kaiju battle at some point, even though that's also Japanese. But still, it's all there. There's all sorts of things just clashing against each other stylistically. But what's consistent is the animation and the characterization, and the way they depict Marinette as this. She's pretty, and she should be more confident in herself, I think. And she is very often when she's as Ladybug, not as Marinette, and it's a very Spider-Man type thing in that sense. She's funny, she's cute, and and it's the same thing with Adrian. He's kind of got this weird. He's got this confidence. He's a supermodel. He's known around the world. They got action figures of his alter ego. At the same time, there's billboards on sides of the buildings, or digital billboards talking about his modeling. So he's famous for two different reasons, and he's got a fair amount of confidence. He knows how to speak Mandarin, but as Cat Noir, he has a different type of confidence where he's just always kicking butt. Of course, he never gets the girl because Ladybug just doesn't like him that way. If only she knew. I imagine at some point, I would think that at some point they realize who the other one is, but we haven't gotten to that story yet, so I don't know. So yeah, there's lots of action. The animation is, well, you're never going to say, oh my gosh, this is a top-notch style of animation that you've ever seen in the world, 3D animation. It is still, it's its own thing. It's really cool. It's really tight. It's very clean, and it has they give their characters some great fluid movement, and of course, because the camera work is so very much based on Japanese animation, you get to see lots of depth and lots of dynamic motion that you just don't see in normal 3D animated TV series or movies even. So it's different from something like a Pixar movie, or even a DreamWorks movie like Ice Age. They all have their own style of depicting characters, but these characters are so lean and action oriented, and they move in such a way that the animation really brings that out in a pretty great way. I kind of also, even though the stories are fairly predictable, the characters don't really go too far out of their range of, they don't act too unpredictably in any situation. And also they've got this whole, just like anime from Japan or Korea, they have this whole tremendous creature character backstory about the beings that give them their powers, the Miraculous and the prodigious and the whatever else. There's all sorts of things that you kind of have to know, be kind of glom onto after a while if you're really interested in it. And I'm not that interested in it that I've looked up the whole history of the Miraculous. There's these little beings, hers and Ladybug's Marinette. Hers is called Tiki, and they're like little creatures that they can easily make into toys and sell to children. So they give them their powers, and she gets to put on a skin tight spotted outfit and then throw a yo-yo around and do all sorts of great acrobatics. So it's all fun. It's good, clean fun, and yeah, I think it's something that kids can enjoy and adults can appreciate. Again, it's not your standard American superhero stuff, but it draws from so many different influences, obviously, and it's its own thing, which is kind of great. Anytime I get to see one of these things, I like it. I can't say that I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta make sure I see every one of them right now, but when they show up on the Disney Plus, yeah, I don't mind checking it out. It's actually a good time, and this one's like only 56 minutes. Like I said, less actually, and like I said, looks good, fun characters, and great action. So I recommend it. So let's pick tomorrow's episode. See what I recommend there.
563.
563. That means I think we're in the thes. The thes. Everything begins with the. Oh. We got another movie. Don't know what this is. Very strange. Usually I know what this stuff is. But this might be a Disney Channel movie. Something tells me it is. I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow when we watch Under Wraps. Is this a mummy story? You think? Wouldn't it be great? I'm pretty sure. I think I'm right. I could be wrong, but Under Wraps. It just feels like a dorky late 90s grainy 4:3 aspect ratio Disney Channel low budget mummy movie. That's what it feels like. With teenage angst and no stakes. I could be wrong. No idea. At least it's not about hip hop. They didn't spell it without a W or anything. So thankfully, thank you for not punning that. Whatever it is, we're watching it tomorrow. Under Wraps on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you then.